Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to Georgie Ogden Astrology. Today we are going to be discussing in very basic and simple terms, what is the planet Mercury? What does it represent in the chart? And therefore we can get an understanding of what Mercury does, and then we can start applying it to the signs and to the houses. So first of all, you want to get a foundational understanding of what Mercury does, what it represents, before you can really start applying it in terms of signs and houses and charts, etc. So Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So when we think about what that actually means, we can think about all the different ways that we communicate a message. So Mercury is speaking, Mercury is listening, Mercury is writing, Mercury is basically all forms of communication. So when you think about media, social media, technology, how we communicate with the world, obviously things like television and the different forms of media, newspapers, these are all ruled by Mercury. Television separately, that is ruled by Neptune. But when we think about topics of the third house, television does come under the third house. So in that sense, we can think that Mercury does rule that because it's the communication that it rules. It's how we learn. How do you like to learn? And for example, we can think of this in very simple terms. So if your Mercury is in an earth sign, when you think of earth as being grounded, people with Mercury in earth signs tend to be more kinesthetic learners. They like to physically do it because earth is physical and grounded. So we can really start to think about how do you enjoy learning? How do you communicate? Are you a fast communicator? Are you a slow communicator? Do you like to teach yourself? Which is typical of somebody with Mercury retrograde. They tend to like to teach themselves. So it's all about learning. So any aspect of learning, any aspect of reading, any aspect of speaking. It's also very much the mind and thought processes. How quickly do you think? Do you suffer with negative thinking? How fast is your mind racing? This is all governed by Mercury. So people, for example, with Mercury in the first house, because the first house is your identity, these people are going to have very fast racing minds, and they're going to talk a lot. So this is how you can start to shape Mercury. It governs wit. It's funny. When you think of Geminis, people with Gemini placements are funny. They're quick-witted. One of the downsides of Mercury is that it can tell lies, because it's known as the trickster. And when we think of Gemini as an archetype, we can think of it as the archetype of the jester, because Geminis tend to make jokes of everything, and they want to make people laugh because it's all about the connection. So Mercury really is the connection between the body and between other people. It's the connector, it's the bridge between you and another person. So Mercury loves connection, it loves talking, it loves speaking, it loves having that real connection. It's the bridge, it's the messenger of the gods. It's bringing together people, and it's bringing together yourself and another person. So we can really think of the word connection when we think of Mercury. Mercury also rules technology, and travel, short trips, so trips here and there. So it rules your car. So when we think about topics of the third house, this is why Mercury governs the third house, because it's short trips, it's your car, it's technology, it's your phone, it's your laptop. It's all obviously this all comes under forms of media. This is why when Mercury goes retrograde, we experience problems with media, for example. Mercury is, like I said, the ruler of Gemini and the ruler of Virgo. Gemini is an air sign, so Mercury can act very fast in Gemini. Virgo is an earth sign, and Mercury is actually exalted in Virgo. And Virgo is very detail orientated, which Mercury loves. Mercury loves focusing on small facts and small details, and it loves being in that slightly grounded earth energy of Virgo, and this is why it's said to be exalted there. Because of this, it's actually in fall and in detriment in Pisces, and it's in detriment in Sagittarius. So in Pisces, Mercury is too watered down. It can't make a decision. It doesn't know what to do. And Mercury doesn't like that. Mercury is decisions because it's thinking. It's fast thinking. It wants to make decisions. But in Pisces, it can't do that very easily. Emotions get involved too much. There's a lot of, it gets too watery and too overwhelmed in Pisces. So it's said to be in fall and detriment in Pisces. Now, obviously, there are some beautiful things about this. If you have your Mercury in Pisces and you're watching this, please don't think it's really awful placement. You know, you guys are extremely intuitive, very softly spoken, very kind. And so there are some beautiful manifestations of this, but just in terms of how Mercury wants to operate, quick and fast and making, decisive is the word I'm looking for, decisive, it can't do that in Pisces very well. The other sign that is detriment in is Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is so broad-minded and so vast that Mercury actually gets a little bit lost. Sagittarius wants to be free, and it's actually not really fussed with tiny facts and gossiping and the details of the day to day. But Mercury wants to be fussed with the details of the day to day, and in Sagittarius, it's too spread out, it's too vast. So in that sense, it's in detriment in Sagittarius. So make sure you take a look at obviously which sign your Mercury is in, or whoever's chart you're looking at, but also obviously the aspects towards it and which house as well. And that's when you can really start to put together the picture of Mercury and what it does in your own chart, what it does in the sky. If you do have Gemini and Virgo placements, what Mercury does will impact you more than other people. And Mercury actually can only, because it moves so fast and it moves so close to the sun, number one, it's seen as very anxious because it's fast and hot and small and it's moving around the sun quickly. So that can manifest as, racing mind, anxiety, that kind of thing. But it's never more than one sign away from the sun. So, for example, if you have your sun in Aries, Mercury can only be in Pisces, in Aries, or in Taurus. It can't be in any other sign. So this can help you when looking at people's chart, or when you find out someone's sun sign, you can think, okay, so their Mercury is either going to be the same as their sun sign or one the either side, because it doesn't orbit the sun any further away, if that makes sense. So generally, that's kind of like the basic knowledge of Mercury. I'd be really interested to know, where is your Mercury in your chart? How is it aspected? Which sign is it in? If you can think of any other manifestations of Mercury, then please let me know in the comments. If you're new here, hi, I'd love for you to become a subscriber to my channel. So you need to click the subscribe button to do that. And if you got some value from this video, please give it a thumbs up because it helps me grow the channel. I really appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next one. Lots of love.